What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh 1.
and today we're back to answer more questions from you guys in another installment of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, please comment down in the comment section below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And that is what Sir Robert Strong did. He asks, if you got to join a Space Marine chapter and you somehow could choose your role, what would you pick? Chaplain, Tech Marine, Apothecary, Librarian, Chapter Master, or do you think you'll end up becoming a Chapter Serf or Servitor? LOL. Keep up the great work. Listen to these Q&A sessions. They have become part of my daily routine. You help to flesh out the Warhammer 40K universe and remind me of how vast the lore is. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That is not what I thought you were going to ask. But let's so what is the best Space Marine rank, do you think?
Yeah, because honestly, when you ask us what do we want to be, and then you start listing off all these things, honestly, you want to be the very best. No one ever was, right? To teach them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
Exactly. And them is your battle brothers.
Not Pokemon.
Not Pokemon.
Yeah. So I think, to me, it's always between the Chapter Master and the Librarian.
Yep.
Chief Librarian at that.
What's cool about the upper echelons of the chapter, which is the chief librarian, the
chief apothecary? No.
Well, the head of the apothecary, I forget what it's called, surgeon, and then the chapter master, and then there's one more that I'm missing.
The tech priest.
Those guys are really badass just because they're independent. They still will listen to the chapter master, but then at the same time they are so specialized in their field that the chapter master can't really tell a tech priest, don't do that, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Same thing with a librarian. He can't be like, don't talk to that demon. He didn't even know he's talking to a demon.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. Librarian and the chapter master would be my pick as well. Just because they just seem like their field of expertise is way more badass.
Right. Instead of, Tech Priest is pretty cool too. Because, you get to, create land raiders and work on, weapons and the sarcophagi of, dreadnoughts and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool too.
I do feel, though, that, with the Tech Priest, because you're following the dictates of the Adeptus Mechanicus, you're kind of bound. You can't really experiment.
Same thing, too, if you're, a librarian, because obviously you can't practice maledictions and, necromancy and stuff like that.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And I guess you could say the same thing for the librarian, or the chapter master. You can't just do what you want to do. Oh, I like that planet. Let me take it over.
Yeah.
Because then you'll be excommunicado traitoris, and then you've got the whole Inquisition, and maybe other Space Marine chapters after you.
Yeah, or even change the tactic of your chapter, because if you are a chapter master of the Imperial Fist, and you're like, you know what, nah, we're not going to be siege guys anymore. I want to be sneaky. You can't do that.
Right. It's in your blood. It's in your gene seed.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good question, and thank you for the kind words.
Mm-hmm. What's the one that you would never want to beat?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think Apothecary. Apothecary is just something that's oh, I gotta save this guy's life, even though he's the angel of death.
I think for me, hands down, it would be a Servitor, because you get lobotomized.
Well, yeah, but then that goes away. You don't have to suffer through
yeah, but to know I'm still technically alive and still making grilled cheese for this dude.
Grilled cheese. That's what Space Marines eat.
Yeah, if you didn't know, yeah.
When you're not lactose intolerant and you don't pee or poo, because Space Marines don't defecate, grilled cheese all day.
That's true. Yeah. Mentally Will says, if GW were to introduce a new faction into 40K, what would you like to see? So you're talking about what would I like to see, or what would make the most sense that they would introduce? Because they've made a lot of factions have newer models. Especially when you look at Necromunda, the Arbiters. You've got a whole bunch of stuff with I guess technically it's more Age of Sigmar with Warcry and stuff like that. But I think it'd be pretty interesting to see them bring either Skaven into 40K, or the Rack Goal would be pretty interesting. Even the Hrud too, with their time powers like that. That'd be pretty interesting. But what I would like to see would be a sub faction for the Tau auxiliaries, whether it's like the flying polar bears that are the navigators or some other obscure race. Like it'd be pretty cool to have more options to build like a mercenary Tau list like that.
I think it would be really cool if there was a Tau mercenary faction that buffed their shooting somehow, because like I think a lot of the times what happens is like you'll have an army and then you'd want to say like, okay, it's bad at close combat, give me some close combat units. But like why not just like go full on like shooting and like try to maximize that strength. So having some type of faction that's not like the crew, because like the crew, like they're tough, but they're still like what, toughness 3.
Yeah.
So like having something that buffs your fire warriors, buffs your riptides somehow, would be really nice. Maybe with like psychic control. Like maybe this like giant polar bear actually like helps the fire warriors communicate better with each other because it's all telepathic signals and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you got a point. Because oftentimes you hear, oh, the Tau needs some more close combat stuff. It's like, why? That's not their thing. Unless you're talking about Farsight. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, just make them better at what they do.
Yeah, that would be nice then. To have like an auxiliary force specifically for the Farsight enclaves.
Mm-hmm.
Like just giant, like, I don't know, Goliaths from D&D.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But, yeah, we just got to wait and see. Because right now, I don't want GW to put out a new faction. Like, they still have a lot of stuff to do with the other factions that they already have. Like, look at the Eldar, for example. They still have metal models. They haven't had a 9th edition codex yet. They're just really outdated when you look at a lot of their line. So it's like bring everything else up to speed with the Space Marines and then introduce a new army.
That would be nice, yeah. This isn't a question, but it's funny. Zero Cool AOW says, the Mexican from the Ghost Caves? Laughing my ass off. Y'all humor is excellent and y'all never miss a beat. Thank you. We appreciate that you appreciate our sense of humor.
My dad never missed a beat.
Now you made him cry.
Yeah, I remember those nights.
Mm-hmm. Also, we are Mexican, by the way.
Are we?
Oh, yeah, are we? What is race and ethnicity?
Right.
Next question.
Oh, this one is by Dragon Punch 903. What's the hardest thing about the hobby, in your opinion?
Time management, for me.
Yeah, I think what aspect of time management? Like just to build and create all of it? Or?
At first, that's what it was. At first, I was like, maybe my problem is that I don't have enough time, or I spend too much time on like painting a certain unit or building a certain unit. Mm-hmm. But now I'm starting to realize that like I'm even spending, like I don't have enough time to just sit down and read my codex, so learn the rules of this thing. So like, or I don't know if that's just a factor of me getting old. So like, not only do I have less time because I have like a life that I have to take care of now, but also because like I don't have the energy anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now everything seems like time just isn't there.
Right. Yeah. I'll piggyback off of that and say yes, time management. Because when you look at 40K as a whole hobby, it takes a lot of time. Because let's say you want to play Monopoly, bust it out the box, get some people, and boom, you can start playing right away. You can't do that with 40K. No. You got to get your codex, you got to get the rule book, you got to get another person to say, yes, I'll do all this with you. And then you got to find like the army you want to play. You have to buy the models, buy the paint, buy the clippers, buy the glue, assemble your minis, make up a list, make sure your friend also had the time to do all of this. And then sit or travel, because you can't just play like remotely. Travel and then bust out the table, the terrain, make sure that's adequate enough, and then you play a game, which also can take up to like 3 hours.
Yeah, and that's why I think what do you call them? Like battle report channels do so well because you live through their experience.
Yes.
You know that you could never have terrain and the board that looks just like that and play a type of game like they're playing. So you watch it instead.
Unless you go to like a hobby shop.
But even then, like you're
limited to what's there.
Yeah, and you have people like watching over you and stuff like that. Well, when these guys are filming, like nobody's there.
Right.
You are like as a viewer, but nobody's like you're not actually like hovering over them.
Yeah, trying to get
like,
people's cheesy fingers touching your mouth.
Yeah. Or worried that like somebody's gonna snatch some shit. But
hey, that's my virginity.
But yeah, I would say time management and just like it's a really like it's a concept in your mind to be like, yeah, I'm gonna have my friends over, have my friends come over. I'm gonna build this awesome piece of terrain, but the actual execution is difficult. That's why there's there's terrain that's like half built right there, and it's probably never gonna get built.
Yeah, and the second thing I would say is motivation.
Yeah,
because you can have the idea of like, oh, I want to play Tau, and you're gonna play Space Marines, and we're gonna have a grand old time. 3 months later, nobody's army's done.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, we're not.
Yep. But yeah. Next question.
This one's by Cyclobean. You guys absolutely have to make a Cholo chapter of Space Marines. How badass. You can work on some unique tactics, Cholo fighting styles, and badass paint schemes for armor. How cool would that be?
It would get annoying after a while.
It's like, how am I going to convert this Land Raider into a Lowrider?
You could get really cheesy with it too, because right now, like, you can go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and buy the kits for lowriders.
Yeah.
So somehow like kit bash that with tracks and all that kind of stuff.
Or not even go to a brick and mortar store and just print everything out on your 3D printer.
Yeah, you could do that now.
Design your own like homies.
Yeah, I
Space
bet
Marine armor.
I bet that's cheaper than
actually, yeah.
Yeah, than
buying stuff.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Because the data goes right to your printer. There's no need to pay for shipping and retail and yeah.
Next question.
This one is by Pedro Revici. I was wondering how the Imperium would handle a serious situation that doesn't involve chaos, AI, or Xenos. For example, what if there was a separate planet in a star system that was at war over political and or economic reasons? The Imperium has both factions in compliance, but after a few millennia, the old conflict started up again. How would the Imperium handle this?
When it's internal affairs, like internal fighting, they usually just step away and let them fight like the High Lords do.
Yeah, have the planetary governors figure it out.
And if that means killing each other, then that means killing each other.
Yeah. Unless it's like a really like planet that's needed, like you need the resources. Then you just call that planet Arrakis and have it have spice, and then the people that are in charge of that planet kick them out, put other people in charge, and then have them fight it out internally. With a slug monster and Batista.
Batista.
That's Dune, by the way.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert? Maybe.
I
mean, the book came out, what, 50 years ago?
A long time ago,
yeah.
Yeah. Let them fight it out.
Yeah, pretty much.
This next question comes from Jeffrey Wolf. Is there a Home Depot with various STCs in 40K in ancient Illinois? So no. So STCs in the 40K universe are very like protected.
Yeah. And
only certain manufactorums have access to very specific blueprints of an STC. So like let's say like the Land Raider. The Land Raider can only be produced by someone who is sanctioned by the priesthood of Mars to build that.
Right.
And then that's controlled on various levels. So it's not like a free market, no.
Because imagine if that got into like the hands of the Tau, and now they have the blueprints for a Land Raider, which they can put their technology on and use it against the Imperium.
Yep, you don't want that.
Right. Because now that makes your Land Raiders obsolete because they know how they work inside and out, so they'll build battle tactics to, fight against that.
Yep.
Brian B. says, what happened to the room that you guys originally did the Greater WAAAGH in?
If you guys remember the original room, the window frame had like a little chip in it, and that slowly eroded. I realized that it is a hole through the actual wall and into the warp, and the warp just was absorbed. Or the warp opened up and it absorbed everything from within. Luckily, we were able to escape, but we just escaped into this backdrop, which is kind of warpy looking.
It is, yeah. Maybe we actually got sucked in, and that's like Zeech's ways of like confusing us.
Yeah. Maybe we are like fabricated thoughts of our past selves in control of Zeech, which is why we feel like we've never left this room. Maybe.
How big was the hole?
It was about like
big enough to do
nickel.
that thing you do at like the pool where the little jets coming up.
Oh, where I put my hand down there?
Yeah.
Only my hand?
And nothing else?
Yep. Next question comes from Isaac Langdon. Does the Imperium have other alien currency on hand? Like, do they keep a stockpile of orc teeth to use as money when they need to hire some orcs? Not the Imperium.
No.
The Imperium just keeps thrones and, NFTs from, what is it?
Pokemon?
Poke Me. I think it's called the Pokken coin. And they're mostly just like NFTs of different Sisters of Battle and or Brides of the Emperor in different positions. But yeah, you're not supposed to deal with Xenos. So if a planetary governor has teeth or has whatever the Tau use,
he getting got.
Yeah, he's gonna get got.
Andrew R. If the Imperium saves Ishha, will she be able to heal the Emperor or at least tell the Imperium how to save him? Yeah. I mean, she's a god, so I think she should be able to save him outright. But if for some reason not, then I'm pretty sure she'll know how to do, or like tell him how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, she at least owes him that much.
Yeah. Or
maybe she liked being imprisoned by Nurgle, and she's gonna tell him like the wrong things to actually end the Emperor.
The next question, or this is a comment from the Goat Slayer. You guys are such a good podcast. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of you guys watch us as if we were a podcast. Because obviously you don't want to just stare at our faces.
Or do you?
Probably not.
You don't.
Just moving around, acting uncomfortable because we've been sitting here for 2 hours.
Yeah. I don't even have freaking mirrors in my house. I don't like looking at myself. Yeah. All my spoons are non-reflective.
Non-reflective spoons.
Yeah.
Plastic.
But it's good to hear that most of you guys are either driving on your way to work, listening to us, or painting and listening. I don't think I've heard anybody actually playing 40K while listening to us.
No, yeah, that you probably just like zone us out because we're trying to focus on, how to kill the Tau. Yeah.
Right.
I also appreciate...
Melee.
Oh, go ahead.
It's melee. That's how you kill the Tau.
Melee. Just get closer. I also appreciate you guys think that we're desirable as well. There's some fan fictions out there that have us doing the deed, both with demonettes and each other, which is not cool, but, I don't judge.
That's true.
Even though it's about me, so should I judge? I don't know. Next question.
This one's by Robert Has Downs Jr. Who's the better singer and who's the better dancer between y'all?
So I can't really even read. So singing is completely out of the question because I have to memorize something and then rehearse it. So singing, you're probably a better singer than I am.
Sure, yeah.
And then dancing, my legs fall asleep really easily.
But that means you're like trying to do different moves to wake them up.
Yeah, but that's usually not good moves. Because like a good dancer has like flow and rhythm. I do not have either. Damn. So I think you just take it. You're the sound alchemist, so everything that has to do with music and sound is all you. Show them. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Next question.
Unknown PS. So if the Eldar made Slanesh, who made the other three? So yeah, the way that it is that the Eldar were the top of the top. They were in their golden age. They had access beyond anything they could ever dream of. Whatever they wanted, they had. They had covens and sex parties and whatnot, and that's what birthed Slaanesh. The other three, it's kind of convoluted, but there's also answers there too.
Yeah, and the reason that there's answers is because Warhammer 40K took kind of some stuff from Warhammer Fantasy. So they say that Nurgle came about during the Black Death.
Black Plague, yeah.
Yeah, the Black Plague. And then Khorne came about the first time that a man killed his brother in cold blood.
Not warm blood.
Not warm blood. Well, I mean, I guess that could be, like, it could be a misinterpretation of saying man as in humanity. It could have been just, like,
the first
old
sentient
one,
thing.
yeah. And then Tzeentch. Tzeentch doesn't really have an origin story.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, what's canon and what's not, I don't think GW has said. It's in the Codex, though. Especially the older 4th edition or 3rd edition Codex.
Yeah. To me, it's funny how this... Like, it's insinuating, like, the Black Plague, you know, man killing each other. It's like, it's humanity. Why is it humanity that wants, like, there was other races and sentient beings way before humanity. Why couldn't they be the ones that created chaos gods? And then the other question, too, is, like, if there's a creation, a birth of a god, then... the whole thing about, like, them being in the warp and being timeless, it's like, well, if you create something, then there was nothing before, but chaos always was.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense.
That's why our feeble mind shouldn't try to understand the concepts of the god.
That's true.
Even though we are gods ourselves, within each of us, we have the ability to create. Homebrew.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope this helped, and thanks for listening, guys. We will talk next week.
That's right. Keep those questions coming, be it Warhammer 40K or other.
About life, death, and the destruction of our ancestors.
You see?
This is Gershwan.
The Sound Alchemist signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.